Ask you and Premier Smith about this. Does a new pipeline through BC have to go to the Northwest Coast?
Under the, I'll begin, and then Premier. Under the Memorandum of Understanding, which I will re-emphasize, as I'm sure the Premier, I'll save the Premier having to do this, but I will re-emphasize, has many aspects to it. From cooperation on data centers, cooperation on nuclear power, cooperation on interties, cooperation more broadly, and on creating a whole new industry, if you will, in carbon capture and storage and beyond, has all those aspects. Some of those aspects, as we discussed with Premier Eby, but it was a much broader discussion, areas of cooperation between Alberta, British Columbia, the federal government on many aspects. With respect to a route, and under the MOU, a bitumen pipeline to Asian markets is the way it's described, and therefore the specific routes are not outlined. Of course, work is being done to explore the feasibility of various routes, and there are many factors that affect the feasibility, starting with Indigenous support, as well as technical and economic considerations. So, Premier, I'll pass.
I would say that when we look at the impact of the Trans Mountain pipeline, it has narrowed the differential, which increases revenues not only for us, but also for the federal government, because they get corporate income taxes, and of course all the personal income taxes that come from the workers who have jobs as a result of that extra production. When we began with Trans Mountain, I think the expectation was most of it would go to the United States. In fact, 90% is now going to Asia. And there's, when I've made trade visits and talked with delegates from Asia, they say send us more. And so if the pipeline is already at capacity, I'm grateful that Premier Eby has spoken about expanding the Trans Mountain pipeline. I think that if we could move at pace on that, I think that would be one of the pressure release valves. But for sure, there is an open and robust market waiting for more Canadian energy. I can tell you, I heard the concerns about the original routing of Northern Gateway to Kitimat, and Kitimat is not on the table as one of the ports that we're looking at. There's just too many channels that have to be navigated. It's too complex. But we are looking for a deep water port that does not require a lot of additional navigation. We're certainly talking about marine response if there was ever an issue, and being able to develop new jobs for Indigenous communities when it comes to the tug operations that will navigate the Mount Open Sea. Not only that, but also the potential for a large ownership stake of Indigenous nations in both British Columbia and Alberta. So we are doing our work to put the project together by June, and we are hoping that the federal government can move swiftly on making a decision so we can get down to technical details on that. And I'm very confident that once approved, we will have one or more strong proponents in the private sector willing to work with us to build it.
So just to be clear, Premier Smith, as a follow-up, does that mean that it does not necessarily have to go that route? And if Premier Eby would like to weigh in as well.
Well, think about the alternatives, I guess. And some of the alternatives are already emerging. Enbridge is expanding its main line, 400,000 barrels. You've got South Bow, which is looking at the old Keystone assets and partnering with an American company to build something in the order of 500,000 or more. There are other projects about moving more to the United States, but I think it kind of misses the point of the exercise. I mean, yeah, I suppose we could sell more to the United States, but why we're all here is we're trying to find a way to trade with each other and help each other and find new markets. The Prime Minister has said, let's try to double our foreign exports. And yes, we're going to continue to work with the Americans and continue to find ways to expand our production. But to find new markets, you have to go through different routes. So that's one. There's also a very interesting potential proposal for oil by rail that would go off the East Coast that we're looking at as well, and that would give us access to European markets. My view, and I know that Premier Kinew would love to talk about Churchill. I won't steal any of his thunder. I hope you do a follow-up on that. But I'd be very interested in talking to him and the Indigenous Corporation he created about whether there's an opportunity out of Churchill as well. So my view is north. Oh, and I actually talked to Premier Simpson about the potential to go up north also. So north, south, east, west, we're willing to go in every direction.